Hey, what's up everybody? Do you feel it too? I don't know why, but Mythic Plus becoming easier from season to season. I remember the days on the first week of the season doing 15s was something huge. Nowadays, on the first week, you are already doing 22 plus keys. What happened to tuning and making this game a bit harder? Let me know in the comments. One thing that definitely had a big impact on Mythic Plus scene is the augmentation evokers. In my eyes, aug evokers are a huge problem, cause this spec is pretty much mandatory for Mythic Plus, and the skill you need to play to success a key is way too low. On my key level, which is 24-25 right now, I see a lot of aug players that don't even know some of the mechanics in the dungeons. Or even worse, they don't know how to utilize some of their abilities. For example, remove Resonance Bleed from the tank. I seriously dislike the spec. I feel this spec reduced the skill needed for M+. Don't get me wrong, the top players really are skilled, but for the majority of keys, I think the skill needed with this spec is lower. Another problem with augmentation is that some specs already have an issue getting a spot in M+, and now, with aug taking one of the spots, this problem is growing. But anyway, let's leave aug problem for another video. I started playing Mythic Plus since the beginning in Legion, and there was a lot of good and bad changes along the years, but something I really miss is gear swapping between pools. This is something that could make a big difference and create some skill gap between the players. There are pros and cons for gear swapping, but at the very least it adds something to Mythic Plus, something refreshing in my eyes. Another thing that reducing the skill in M+ is that most of the dungeons are linear. You don't really have to think about the pulls, but don't get me wrong. In high keys, the way you pull matter, and some pulls will look different on really high keys. But on 24-25 keys, you can just press W and you will time the key if you don't have a really bad wipe. I know probably a lot of players will be glad with this kind of way. Memorizing different routes is annoying, especially for new players and tanks. In a way, I also like it, but I still think Blizzard reduced the skill needed in M+ with this kind of dungeons. On top of that, with the new dungeons rotation, we now can get some of the old dungeons that are not really M+ material. For example, Vortex Pinnacle, one of the worst dungeons we had in M+ along the years in my opinion. Luckily, on this season, I'm not getting the bad vibes from the dungeons, but from the old dungeons, Everbloom is not my favorite. While we are talking about M+ changes along the years, the quality of life in M+ definitely improved. Back then, we didn't play in tyrannical weeks because the affix was so overtuned, and honestly, we didn't have a reason to play and made our life harder. Now, with the way score works, we have to play both weeks to get higher score. This is something that improved the M+. Another thing that got better along the years is the reward system. We now have a better rewards, we can get a mount, tier piece and even a title for the top players. Reward system is something that incentivizes players to do IM+ or harder content in general. But don't get me wrong, I think Blizzard should improve the M+ rewards. I seriously don't get it. Why PvP players get amazing and unique mounts and enchants, and M+ player gets ground mount. Seriously? Back to the difficulty in M+. Something that made M+ a bit easier but massively increased the gameplay is the way Blizzard changing affixes. These days I feel that most weeks can be a push week. Back then we used to have necrotic weeks, sanguine that lasts for a whole minute, bolstering that increased the HP of the mobs. Just thinking about it gives me the creep. In my eyes, Blizzard should remove bolstering and sanguine completely and introduce something new. This kind of change will be a massive to the whole community. In general, I really like Blizzard doing these changes because they are making some Mythic Plus weeks playable and enjoyable. fun equals good. Honestly, I feel that Mythic Plus is indeed getting easier from season to season. But if the trade-off is having a lot more fun with new and improved affixes, better reward system, better dungeons, and a lot more, I think most of us will accept it. Eventually, when you do higher keys and harder content, you will feel the difficulty. I'm sure some will agree with me, and some probably will always like Classic WoW more than retail.
Bruh.
Let me know in the comments below what do you think about Mythic Plus as a whole. Thank you for watching. Peace.